What I'm about to tell you may hurt. It may challenge everything you believe about strength, vulnerability, and the very meaning of suffering. Prepare yourself, because the truth you are about to confront is not a gentle massage for your soul, but rather a necessary surgery. You have spent your entire life trying to be unshakable, dreaming of the day when criticisms would slide off you like water off a duck's back, when rejection would leave no scars, when loss would be merely a setback, and betrayal a footnote in history. You strive to appear strong, to maintain your composure, to never give anyone the satisfaction of seeing you fall. But inside, the story is quite different, isn't it? That silent pain, that anguish that gnaws at you in quiet moments, even when you smile and say everything is fine on the outside, that fatigue of having to be a rock all the time, when all you truly wanted was just one damn moment to fall apart, to be fragile, to be human. Perhaps you are tired of trying to please everyone, of molding yourself to others' expectations, of performing a version of yourself that demands an absurd amount of energy. The irony is, the more you try to run from pain, the more it finds you. The more you build walls to protect yourself, the more of a hostage you become. Hostage to the words that cut you, to the actions that disappoint you, to the silences that suffocate you. And this is not your individual weakness. This is the trap that most of humanity is caught in. The difference is that some are better actors than others. Carl Jung, the brilliant mind who delved into the depths of the human psyche, gave us a vital clue. We are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become. And here lies the key, and it is brutally counterintuitive. The way out is not to shield yourself from the world. It is not to become cold, indifferent, an impenetrable statue. The way out is to integrate. It is to bring into the light of consciousness everything that, in the dark, haunts and controls you. Because true strength is not the absence of pain. True strength is the full awareness of who you are, even in the midst of the storm, even when you are bleeding inside. If you have made it this far, it is not by chance. This message is for you who are exhausted from hurting with every interaction, with every word, with every abandonment. It is for you who feel like you are always at an emotional disadvantage, as if other people hold a power over you that you cannot understand, much less match. I will not promise you an end to pain. That would be a cheap lie. But I will show you that pain does not have to be your executioner. It can be your guide. For that, however, you will have to face some truths that will hurt. And perhaps for the first time, this pain will not destroy you but liberate you. Let's begin this descent without a parachute. You believe that what hurts you is out there, in that colleague's criticism, in that friend's silence, in that partner's betrayal, in your family's indifference. You point a finger at the world and say, "Look what they did to me. This is why I suffer." And here lies the first and perhaps most painful truth. Nothing that happens out there truly has the power to hurt you unless there is already an open wound in here. What pains you is not the other person's action in itself. It is what that action activates within you. It is the story you tell yourself about it. It is the old trauma that has never healed. It is the emptiness you desperately try to fill or disguise with strength, with pride, with an insane need to appear fine. Jung shows us that the pain we feel in the face of the external world is merely the amplified reflection of what has not yet been integrated, accepted, and understood in our internal world. That is why some people can endure catastrophes and maintain impressive lucidity and resilience, while others crumble in the face of a simple negative comment. It is not about what happens. It is about where it hits you. And the depth with which it hits you reveals the depth of your internal wounds that are still festering in the dark. And here comes an even more uncomfortable truth. You still suffer so much because on some level you still believe you can control how the world and the people in it should treat you so that you do not feel pain. You are still in the insane race of trying to be good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, as if perfection could be an impenetrable armor. As if you could become so flawless that no one would ever find a reason to reject, criticize, or abandon you. But control is the greatest illusion of the human mind. And as long as you cling to it, you will live in constant tension, trying to predict the unpredictable, trying to avoid the inevitable. Do you want to stop suffering? Then stop protecting yourself from suffering. What you need is not more control, but more consciousness. As long as you believe that the world or people need to change for you to stop feeling pain, you will remain enslaved by the actions of others. Your freedom begins the moment you understand, deep in your soul, that everything that comes from outside only has power over you if it finds an echo within you, if it finds an open wound, if it finds a limiting belief, if it finds an unaddressed fear. And this is precisely where the true battlefield lies, not in the external world, but in the vast and mysterious territory of your unconscious. What you do not see, do not understand, and do not master, masters you. And that is what we will explore in the next descent. Prepare to go one level deeper, because that is where true transformation happens. If this content is making any sense, if something within you is vibrating with this uncomfortable truth, then stop for a moment and breathe. You are on the right path. The biggest lie you've ever been told is that you are in control of your life. Wake up. You're not. At least not as long as you continue living on autopilot, reacting without knowing why, feeling without understanding where it comes from, making decisions that you later sabotage yourself. Carl Jung made this clear with a phrase that echoes in the depths: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that is exactly what is happening to you right now. The pain you feel, the anger that explodes without apparent reason, the sadness that invades you inexplicably, the fear that paralyzes you in the face of opportunities. None of this is random. They are messages. They are the muffled screams of parts of you that have been forgotten, ignored, repressed for so long that now they only know how to communicate through chaos and suffering. Jung referred to this dark territory as the unconscious, and it is not just a cloud of vague thoughts and strange dreams. It is an active force, a complex system of memories, traumas, desires, fears, impulses, and patterns that you do not want to face, but that continue to dictate what you feel, how you react, and ultimately, the kind of life you live. You wonder why certain words destroy you while other people seem immune to them. Because those words touch sensitive points within you. They touch wounds that are still open and painful. And if they are alive and pulsating, it is because you have never faced them. You just pushed them under the psychological rug, hoping they would disappear on their own. And now you keep tripping over them, repeating the same patterns of suffering, reliving the same pains, attracting the same dynamics that hurt you. Jung said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses." And what have you been doing? You judge yourself. You condemn yourself for feeling what you feel. You repress yourself. You silence your own inner voice, as if that would solve anything. The truth is, the unconscious does not disappear just because you decide to ignore it. It is persistent. It finds more dangerous and insidious ways to manifest. In toxic relationships that you compulsively repeat, in cycles of self-sabotage that you cannot break, in anxieties and panics that arise precisely when everything seems to be going well, in physical symptoms that doctors cannot explain. This is not bad luck. This is not a defect in you. This is your unconscious desperately trying to get your attention. It is your soul knocking on the door of your consciousness saying, "Hey, look at me. There is something here that needs to be seen, felt, integrated." But you insist on keeping your eyes closed, on distracting yourself, on fleeing to the surface. Do you want to be someone who is no longer hurt by everything and everyone? Then stop running away from what is inside you, because as long as you do not know your unconscious, you will be a puppet of your emotions, a plaything of your fears, a slave to your unrecognized patterns. And the more you try to protect yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you become to internal pain, which bubbles and grows in the depths. But there is a way, and it is not in building more defenses, it is not in closing yourself off. It is in opening yourself up. It is in integrating yourself. Because becoming unshakable is not an act of resistance against the world. It is an act of profound self-knowledge. This is what we will unveil next. What does it truly mean to be someone who is not shaken by the storms of life? And why does this strength not come from the armor you wear, but from the radical acceptance of who you are? Let's continue the descent. The air thins, but the view, The view at the bottom is worth it. Most people believe that the only way to avoid getting hurt is by closing themselves off. They build impenetrable emotional walls, create perfect masks, develop heavy armor for the soul. They say, "I don't care anymore. Nothing affects me. I feel nothing." And to the world, they might even appear strong. But inside, the bleeding continues. They keep corroding, slowly rotting in the darkness. Because the problem was never about feeling. The problem is not knowing what you are feeling and, crucially, why. And this only happens to those who haven't had the courage or opportunity to truly know themselves. Jung was precise in his wisdom. Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when touching a human soul, be just another human soul. And that human soul, your human soul, which you insist on hiding behind a strong, invulnerable, controlled character, is screaming to be seen. It is begging to be recognized, accepted, loved in its entirety, with all its imperfections and shadows. Becoming emotionally strong has nothing to do with being cold. It has nothing to do with ignoring pain, avoiding conflict, or pretending not to care. On the contrary, it has to do with integrating. It has to do with accepting. It has to do with bringing into the light of consciousness everything that you buried in the dark out of shame, out of fear, out of not knowing what to do with it. You do not become unshakable by creating a barrier between yourself and the world. You become unshakable when you realize that no one can touch what has already been completely embraced within you. When you integrate your shadows, your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, your need to be loved, your repressed anger, when all this becomes a conscious part of who you are, you stop reacting to everything you observe. You start choosing your response. You stop being an emotional puppet swaying in the external and internal wind. And that, my friend, is true freedom. Jung called this process individuation. It is the process of becoming who you really are, not what others expect of you, not what you thought you needed to be accepted, but what emerges from the depths, from the alchemical meeting between light and shadow, between ego and unconscious. Individuation is not a process of perfection, Jung said, but of integration. You do not need to become a better person in a moralistic sense. You need to become whole. You need to gather the shattered pieces and scattered parts of your psyche and form a cohesive and conscious whole. And here lies the secret that no one told you. The more you run from pain, the more it chases you. The more you try not to be affected, the more fragile and vulnerable you become. But when you face your own wounds, when you accept who you are with all that is beautiful and ugly, noble and shameful within you, at that point, nothing out there has the power to dismantle you anymore. You may feel the impact, yes, but it does not shatter your core. However, this path comes at a price. Loneliness. Not because you will literally be alone in the world, but because very few people will have the courage, the willingness, or the capacity to accompany you on this inner journey. Most are still stuck on the surface, in masks, in the fear of feeling, in the incessant search for external validation. And when you begin to free yourself from these shackles, you inevitably distance yourself. But this distancing is not rejection, it is maturation. You do not distance yourself out of pride, but because you simply no longer fit where you once hid. And this separation, although painful, is a sign that you are becoming more authentic, more real, more you. And this brings us to the crucial and final point of this journey: consciousness as the only true shield. Because it is not physical strength or rigidity that protects you. It is the clarity of the inner gaze. It is the state of presence. This is what we will explore in the last part. Consciousness as the state where nothing, absolutely nothing, has the power to dominate or destabilize you anymore. Let's finish this crossing together. We have reached the most crucial point. After all this descent, there is something that needs to be said with absolute clarity. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will shield you from external suffering if you remain unconscious of what happens within you. The words will continue to hurt, rejections will continue to sting, losses will keep bringing you down, fears will continue to paralyze you, and all this will keep happening until you awaken. And awakening is not a magical event that happens overnight. It is a choice, a daily, constant, relentless choice. It is choosing to look within, even when the sight is ugly. It is choosing to feel, even when the sensation is unbearable. It is choosing to take responsibility for everything you feel, no longer blaming others, the past, or fate. Carl Jung left us with a powerful and liberating truth. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. You have spent your entire life resisting the fear of not being enough, resisting the emptiness of rejection, resisting the pain of loneliness, resisting the anguish of not feeling seen or loved. And what did you do with this resistance? You hid. You silenced yourself. You tried to control everything and everyone around you to prevent these wounds from being touched. You tried to be perfect. You tried to be strong. And all of this has brought you here, exhausted, tired of fighting against the world and most importantly against yourself. But now you know. True emotional immunity is not hardness. It is clarity. It is not about building armors that isolate you. It is about expanding your consciousness that connects you to your inner strength. Because when you understand your triggers, when you recognize your patterns, when you face your wounds with honesty and compassion, the actions of others lose the power to destroy you. You still feel the blow, yes, because you are human. But you do not drown. You still suffer the impact, but you do not lose yourself. And that, my friend, changes everything. What shields you is not protecting yourself from life. It is diving deeply into it. Those who live on the surface are shaken by any wave. Those who dive know the calm, the stability, and the power that exist in the depths. And that is where you are heading. And when you start to live from that place of integration, of presence, of radical self-acceptance, the world may try to knock you down, but it no longer finds where to truly hit you. Because your center is solid. Your foundation is yourself, known and accepted in your totality. There are no more open wounds waiting to be activated by a look, a word, or an absence. There is only the conscious vastness of your being. If something here touched you in some way, if something within you awakened with this truth, even if it is painful, then you know what to do. The path is not easy, but it is the only one that leads to freedom. Continue. If this message resonated with your deep self, then you know the way. Continue.